Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another fantastic episode of the best darn show on the internet, the Sharon Show.
Yes.
Yay. We're back for another week of amazing action. This week, we're back to talk about the Tao Te Ching again, verse 51. But before we do that, we're going to read a quote and see how this goes. Today's quote is by Dostoevsky.
Fyodor.
Fyodor Dostoevsky. Fyodor
Harder how to say
Dostoevsky. I think the devil doesn't exist, but man has created him. He has created him in his own image and likeness.
Oh, shit.
Oh yeah, I sent this to you on Instagram this morning. You probably didn't see it yet, and then I didn't.
No,
I
I
didn't have time to
haven't.
make it into an oversharing little.
Oh my gosh, this
But
is fantastic.
yeah, it's a good one, right?
Yeah, it totally is a good one. Oh my God. I love it. I absolutely love it. Oh my God.
I think it would. The quote, I made sure to look it up. Maybe I was gonna, but it might make more sense if he said, "I think the devil exists, but man created him." Because he's just saying like, yeah, there is a devil, but man created him. But I guess
Oh,
by
okay.
saying I don't think the devil exists is probably better because then it's less confusing.
I suppose I it's probably like it's just a figment of your imagination.
Yeah.
You
Oh yeah, 100%. Or maybe
Yeah.
if he said, "The only devil I believe in is the one that man created," something like that.
Yeah, he probably meant that, but what
Yeah.
what came out of his mouth was that.
Well, yeah. Plus, it's an interpretation. Whatever came out of his mouth was in Russian, probably. So,
Oh, from Russia. That's
yeah,
right.
Ruski. So,
From
anyway, great quote. Either way,
Russia.
right up the over Sharon alley, right? With that quote.
Yeah. Oh my God, this is so good. I love it. He has created him in his own image.
And it's funny because even in the Bible, Jesus is like, he goes in the desert for 40 days and 40 nights or whatever, allegedly, and fasts. So what do you think he's seeing? That's like a clue, right? I think
Yeah.
it's in there so people will maybe go and fast somewhere for, maybe not 40 days, but they go and fast for a while and then they'll
It's like a
see
meditation. What
their
is
own
going on in
image.
your mind when you're fasting?
Yes. And
You're
then you'll
getting all
see
kind of like thoughts and like, hey, you know what you could do?
exactly. And he knew with all his power, Jesus anyway, knew with his power that there was that temptation that he could take over any kingdom that he wanted to.
You can
Um,
take over the world,
take over the
Pinky.
whole swirl. I mean, world.
Pinky and the brain.
Exactly.
So what we gonna do today, Brain?
How does it go
The
again?
same
The
thing we
same
do
thing we
every
do.
night,
The
Pinky.
same thing we do every day,
We
Pinky.
try to take over the world.
Try to take over this world.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. Enough, Brain.
I used to do a good impression of them, but it's been so long since I've heard it. I used to watch
Yeah.
that show all the time.
Oh my God. I used to love Pinky and the freaking brain. But
It's
yeah,
great because
great.
it's showing polar opposite ends of, like, I guess you could say intelligence, but then brain, he's so smart that sometimes he misses things that are
Yeah.
simple, and Pinky gets it. Yeah, so it's exactly, it's kind of how I feel like the Pinky and brain that live inside me.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Pulling from the what deck, the
The
Enchanted, no,
right.
what's it,
What?
what deck was it again that you're going to pull from?
Tarot of the Divine.
Divine, that's it. I said Enchanted.
I felt divine today. Just kidding. So that's why I'm pulling from this deck.
How dare you.
The Star. Wow. Major
Ooh,
Arcana.
number 17. It's right after
Yeah.
the Tower.
And 7 plus 1 is 8. And
Uh-oh.
today is 8-8, even though it's not 8-8 for the live for the premiere.
For y'all, but we will be live later today, so it'll be kind of crazy. We could talk about
Yeah.
8-8, and then
Oops.
If you guys are watching this in the future, go back and watch the episode from August 8th.
Oh, look, there. It's not so washed out.
Star.
The Star, number 17. Friend.
It's a good card kind of for like a rebirth or rising from the ashes because it comes right after the Tower card. But go ahead. What
Holy
does the book say?
smokes. Dude, this is crazy. Sister Alyonushka and brother Ivanushka, Russia, a Russian fairy tale. What were
Wow,
we just freaking talking about?
that's crazy.
That's so crazy. There's the tower.
Oh yeah.
The star is a symbol of hope after a disaster, the need to remain positive after misfortune, to remember that things can get better again. What are we talking about lately? Being positive even though like something might look like a negative thing, right?
Yeah, and
It
just
is
kind of accepting it for what it is and then being grateful for the positives because in every negative there contains positive, just like in every positive there contain negatives, just like the Red Hot Chili Pepper song says, I like pleasure spiked with pain and music is my aeroplane,
aeroplane
is
is
my
my aeroplane
aeroplane. Pleasure spiked with
with
pain.
pain.
And he's like, that motherfucker's always spiked with pain. Yeah, I was like, oh, that used to blow my mind back in the day, but now I get it. It's the
Yeah,
yin and the yang of the universe. That's the way it
it
works.
is.
There
It
couldn't be light without darkness. Darkness is the shadow. Light cannot be defined. Light cannot be defined without darkness. Can you hear that? There's
what
chimes
was that?
going on.
Yeah, what were
There's a
those?
wind chime right here that I
Oh, how pretty. Oh, okay. I was like, what is that?
it's funny we have these small set of wind chimes near the sliding door and it sounds kind of like like Mr. Rogers when they would go to the land of make
Oh,
believe
that's hilarious.
so every time I hit it to open the door or whatever I go over there and hit it, it just sounds like there's magic going on. It's so funny.
Are you talking to King Friday
Yeah,
and
exact King
Prince
Friday.
Tuesday?
Friday. Tomorrow's Friday.
Ah, well, this continues to say it is staying calm and open to future possibilities, seeing your situation with open eyes, mind, and heart. Upright meanings are hope, serenity, inspiration, insight, spirituality. Reversed are crushed dreams, insecurity, despair, dejection, and exhaustion. So don't let your dreams be crushed. Don't be insecure or despair or be dejected or exhausted. If you are, that's okay. But remember, you can be hopeful, you can be serene, you can be inspired, insightful, and spiritual.
I'm reminded of a blizzard. So at night, when you get hammered with a blizzard, and after it passes, you see the stars. So the blizzard is like this tower moment. Same thing with like maybe a hurricane or a bad rainstorm when at night, and then when it clears out, you see all the stars, and there's like new hope now.
Yeah,
It's reminding you
lovely
of the
card.
cycles.
Cycles and cycles.
The cycles. Well,
But yeah,
today we're going to be talking about verse 51 of the Tao Te Ching. And so let's see what we
before
have
we do that, I just
before we do
want
that.
to share this really cool thing that I found. So I shared on the last Tao episode about this website with like 175 translations of the Tao. And I'm just going to quickly share my screen so you can see it. And what is interesting here is um there are 175, right? But as I was scrolling and I was searching for Aleister Crowley's version yesterday and I came across it twice. I'm like, oh, why? His name's here as well. Well, I guess there is something called an interpolation by Peter Merrill, based on several versions. And I was showing Brandon this, and it was a kind of a synchronistic thing, because who's the guy that who mentioned him, Brandon?
Who was the author guy that mentioned him? Lin
You
oh
said,
Lin Yu Tang. Oh yeah, sorry. Alan Watts mentioned Lin Yu Tang because he had a quote. Lin Yu Tang had a quote, and it was like a fish that has died for you but has not been cooked well has died in vain or something like that, because he was talking about eating and like how you go through when on your spiritual whatever journey, you go through different levels of what you want to eat and stuff. And then he kind of was saying the same thing we do a lot of times about food, where it's just like, we probably talked about that though on 8-8, everybody. So go back and check out that episode, episode 120. But it's more about just knowing that it's all energy, right? And that it's only really going to affect you if you think it's going to affect you, or it's at least going to be way worse if you are focused on it and think you shouldn't be eating this food, but you still do.
yeah. So anyway, so that was kind of a sync when I showed this to Brandon just right before we went live. Went live before we recorded. um, but anyway, I think it's supposed to have a horizontal rule here that they forgot to place. So this is that verse, that first verse. And I looked for it because I was curious. So I found it here. And this is this is a very interesting read. If anybody wants to read it, I can also put this link in the chat. I mean, not in the chat, in the description. But anyway, I will stop sharing. And I just wanted to throw that little
Don't stop, Sharon.
don't stop
It's
believing.
like you're talking to yourself. You're like, I will stop, Sharon. All right. No, don't stop. Um, yeah, so I thought that was pretty synchronistic because we were looking at I've been into this whole Alan Watts kick lately, and I'll probably talk about it more on 8-8. The episode that we're gonna go live later today that we record or that we went live on 8-8. You guys get it. So episode 120, go check that out, and you'll get more context to this fun stuff. Well, today though, we're going to be talking about episode verse 51 of the Tao Te Ching. And if you're new to our Tao series, thank you and welcome. Thanks for hanging out. The way it works is we've been going through these two at a time, but now we've gone to one at a time just for maybe a short time. We'll see. And we have four different versions of each verse. And we go through and read them all, and then we'll go through and break them down. So today's verse is 51. I'm going to read the Stephen Mitchell version from 1988. Every being in the universe is an expression of the Tao. It springs into existence unconscious, perfect, free, takes on a physical body, lets circumstances complete it. That is why every being spontaneously honors the Tao. Oh, you know what? Let me highlight. I remember this time. Oops. I tried to do it left-handed. You try to highlight left-handed, that's what happens. The Tao gives birth to all beings, nourishes them, maintains them, cares for them, comforts them, protects them, takes them back to itself, creating without possessing, acting without expecting, guiding without interfering. That is why love of the Tao is in the very nature of things. Is in the very nature of things. There you go.
Very cool. All right. Dwight Goddard from 1919 calls this Day as a Nurse. Tao gives life to all creatures. Day feeds them. Materiality shapes them. Energy completes them. Therefore, among all things, there is none that does not honor Tao and esteem Day. Honor for Tao and esteem for Day is never compelled. It is always spontaneous. Therefore, Tao gives life to them, but Day nurses them, raises them, nurtures, completes, matures, rears, protects them. Tao gives life to them, but makes no claim of ownership. Day forms them, but makes no claim upon them, raises them, but does not rule them. This is profound vitality day.
Hmm.
Intéressant. And I will note that I did change the date for Aleister Crowley's to 1918 because I read his intro and he implied it, but it was enough that it made, yeah, I was like, yeah, it was probably 1918. So
All right. Nice. The Nourishment. I'm gonna read the Stan Rosenthal version from 1984. The nourishment of the Tao. All physical things arrive from the principle which is absolute, the principle which is the natural way. All living things are formed by being and shaped by their environment, growing if nourished well by virtue, and being from non-being. Sorry, growing if nourished well by virtue, the being from non-being. All natural things respect the Tao, giving honor to its virtue, although the Tao does not expect nor look for honor or respect. The virtue of the natural way is that all things are born of it. It nourishes and comforts them, develops, shelters, and cares for them, protecting them from harm. The Tao creates, not claiming credit, and guides without interfering.
lovely. Aleister Crowley entitles this verse The Day as the Nurse, as in TEH day. All things proceed from the Tao and are sustained by its forth flowing virtue. Everyone taketh form according to his nature and is perfect, each in his particular way. Therefore, each and every one of them glorify the Tao and worship its forth flowing virtue. This glorifying of the Tao, this worship of the day, is constantly spontaneous and not by appointment of law. Thus the Tao buddeth them out, nurtureth them, developeth them, sustaineth them, perfecteth them, ripeneth them, upholdeth them, and reabsorbeth them. It buddeth them forth, and claimeth not lordship over them. It is overseer of their changes, and boasteth not of his puissance, which I found means power, might, or force.
Oh.
Yeah, puissance. And both boasteth not of his power, right? Puissance. Perfecteth them and interfereth not with their ways. This is called the mystery of its virtue.
Hmm.
It
I like this one. It seems very mysterious, I guess you could say.
is kind of mysterious. Yeah.
Buddeth. I like that.
I'll read it without the F's next time.
Okay. Quit buddething into my business. No. All right. So we can go through and break these down
Indeed.
in diddly dee. All right. So I'm going to read the first part of the Stephen Mitchell verse first. Every being in the universe is an expression of the Tao. Well, that's pretty straightforward. It springs into existence unconscious, perfect, free, takes on a physical body, lets circumstances complete it. That is why every being spontaneously honors the Tao. And
Yeah.
I love that because I feel like that explains exactly what happens. We're born into this physical body, we let circumstances happen, and it shapes us. And it goes along with the whole thing that maybe we are perfect, and maybe we are a product of everything that's happened to us in our circumstances. And that's exactly why we're perfect, because we're just the next step of what has been going on before us, right? We're the avatars of our ancestors acting out on everything that they've done up to this point. Now there does become a point where we become conscious, because I think all of our actions now are created because we think we're not perfect. And once you start to embody um, the idea that you are perfect, then you move into the direction of the person that you want to be if you thought you were perfect. You know, like if you have an idea of who you would be, if you could be anybody and perfect and get everything done and, you know, be enlightened and all that stuff, that's another desire. And people try to meditate and stuff. And then when they don't get there, they get discouraged. But I feel like this practice, you know, obviously meditation and letting go and stuff, but then also realizing you are perfect is what brings you to where you want to be. So I really feel like this verse is saying there's no judgments to be made. You know, it's just all happening.
Right, right. And it made me think of the law of one, as a lot of things usually make me think of, because if we all come from that great divine consciousness, it's like, yeah, we sprung into existence unconscious because of the veil of forgetfulness that was placed on us right before entering, or as we entered into the realm. But it says we're perfect and we're free. And we do have that freedom of um, the free will, right? And yet some people, some people might say, oh, this person was born, a slave, or was born into poverty. And the thing is, you know, you have to remember that we all probably made a choice to come to this place the way we came. And again, there's no judgment. So that person who was born into a family that was, very poor or whatever, um, decided that they needed that experience this lifetime. And if they want to, they'll be able to um, do whatever they can do to either get themselves out of such a state so that they can uh, live more in abundance in the realm if they wish to. But, sometimes we learn lessons the hard way. And, you know, that's just life.
Yeah.
One lifetime at
Remember,
a time.
there are two ways to learn your lessons through laughter or tears or whatever, right? Didn't
Yeah.
Fortune Saint Germain say that? I
Is
think.
it suffering, right? What is it? He said, like,
Yeah, suffering or laughter, maybe was it?
something like that. I forgot how he said it, but like you can learn it through, oh, yeah, I forgot. It's been a while since I heard his stuff. But in all that we do, it says we spontaneously honor the Tao. Why? Because we are each living that which we were meant to live out, to express, right? So I can't like judge somebody who came into this realm in the way they did and the choices they're making, because that's what they chose to do. That's the role they decided to play this lifetime. So I can't really judge that.
Well, I would say that's your reason for not judging them, but you can judge them. But
True.
I would
Thank you.
say the reason you learn to not judge people is because there are benefits, right, to yourself, to your own, because you start to realize at first it might seem rough because it starts to seem like you see everything really is your own fault with things. But then as you stop to blame other people and you start to let things go within yourself, you just get more peace inside and less craziness, right? Because it's like
Yeah.
as
And
above, so below. So if you're judging people, you're going to be judging yourself too, even if it's unconscious. And that's kind of go. If you wanted to say something, go ahead, because I had to add something that's going to change this up a little bit. I think.
okay, so even though I was just going to say, even if you might think that, um, like, okay, I forgot my train. I forgot my train of thought. So never mind.
No worries, you'll probably get it back. The free will thing you were talking about, like everybody has that decision, and what I think happens is sometimes that free will is shifted to the unconscious. So you're not really making decisions consciously. The unconscious is making decisions, and that's kind of like what we say when you evacuate your cockpit, right? As JT would say, or probably still does. When you evacuate your cockpit, which just means you aren't present in the moment, or you just want to engage in some kind of escapism. So that's what you're going to do. You engage in escapism. It's kind of like we talk about how sometimes you just find yourself staring into the refrigerator at night. You just open it, you walk up over to the
You're like,
refrigerator and open it. And you're like, wow, how did I get here?
or the pantry
Yes, or whatever it is, or the the
where
fucking
all the snacks are.
yeah. So that process is an unconscious decision. So I think that there's still free will. It's just shifted to the unconscious part of yourself. It's the same place where we put all the feelings and emotions that we aren't ready to deal with and we don't want to feel and deal with. We push them down. And we talked about that in the letting go episode. And then we followed it up with our episode we're about to go live with later. So check that out. It was August 8th, episode 120, and we'll get into that more. So I won't say too much more because you've probably already heard it. And if you haven't, go back and check out that episode. But I think that's exactly right, Sharon. What you were saying is, we do have this choice, but it doesn't really seem like a choice. And, maybe there isn't really a choice. Maybe you just do the work and you get that out of your unconscious or out of your shadow. And then perhaps you're able to align with your intuition more. And then you start acting off your intuition. So there really isn't, it's either the intuitional way or the like egoic way, I guess we could say. And, they're always going to, you're always going to fluctuate because sometimes you need to make decisions through your ego, like if there's a ball coming at you real fast or like, something or a car.
Yeah. And I think I kind of remembered what I was going to say. I was just going to say, even if you don't want to believe that um, you made this choice to come here and do this work, that's okay. Do you believe that you have control over your life in the sense of do you make decisions for yourself every day to get up and do XYZ every day? And if so, have you created the world around you in the sense that, you live in this house or you live in this apartment or you have children or you have a spouse, or did you make all those decisions yourself or did somebody force you to do all those things? Right? It's like you still have a choice to do all these things. And so you can make the world a better place for you first and foremost, right? You have the ability, the capability of doing that. So,
And I could even also add that, oh no, did I lose? With the whole thought process thing. Yes. So because some people do say, people have been making me do things and telling me to do this my whole life. My parents been telling me this,
mm-hmm.
and as you're an adult and you move out and you're away from the influence of your parents, right face to face or whatever, you could still be influenced by them. And that's not their fault. So if you have parents that don't agree with the way you live and they argue and all that stuff with you, that's not their fault. That's really nobody's fault at the end of the day. So if you start to do this work or whatever it is, you start to realize you're more perfect. Another thing that happens, one of these, uh, what are they? What?
Boundaries?
Yeah, boundaries for sure. But one of these side effects that happens, these really good side effects of spiritual work, is you start to care less about other people's opinions because I find that, a lot of people feel good because they get this validation from exterior sources or
Mm-hmm.
external
Yeah.
sources. And you realize you can get the validation from within. So you're able to align more with the decisions that you want to make. So, and you're stepping out of that victim narrative of, oh, they made me do it, they told me, it's all their fault. So there's two things you're doing: you're taking personal responsibility, and then you're starting to live more in accordance with how you feel inside, and it'll
And
make you feel better.
authentically, right?
Yeah, authentically, there you go.
Which is a very high frequency or very high vibe, if you will. I don't know how to say it, but you know, authenticity is very important, very huge,
It's very authentic.
impactful, perhaps.
That was my joke.
Yeah. And I will just
Originality, it's super original. I'm sorry, go ahead.
yeah, defining the word with it defining a word with its the same word.
Yeah.
Um I was just gonna say I've recently experienced kind of a boundary, like pushing back a little bit on, you know, a family member who is like, oh, you should do things this way, and I wish you would do it like this. I'm just like, I am happy how I am doing things. So thank you, but I'm gonna do it my way.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, no thanks, Mims. This is our rapper named Mims. He has a song. It's like this, like this, like this. It's like, no, I'm good, Mims. Thank you. I'm gonna do it like that. I'm gonna do it like that. All right.
Like
So let's.
this and like that and like this and
Oh
just
yeah, it's
kidding.
like this and like that.
What's
Like
that one?
this and it's like this. Um.
Is that the song or is it a different one?
Yeah. No, that's it. No, it's a different song. But that is another good. I can't. There's a couple songs that say that. Oh
Okay.
well, I'm getting confused.
Anyway,
Cheap song.
we haven't done songs in a long time, so
Back to the doubt. Yeah, any song requests, guys, put them in the comments if you want to hear us sing something. Play me. Oh, the guy outside
oh
is using
my
the
God.
blower. The guy next door, I mean.
Can't hear
And
it, so that's good.
yeah, but it's
I
probably
would I would be annoyed too because this morning as we were before we went to record, the garbage truck passed by. I'm like, oh, it's
yeah.
so loud. But I'm sure you didn't even hear it.
No, no, I did not. I just shout out to my lovely fiance Elizabeth. She's probably losing her mind every time he blows out there. She's like, "What's he blowing?" Because he like blows his patio and there's like nothing really even on it. It's funny.
Oh my
He's just an
gosh.
old guy. I'm like, he needs to feel validated in what
Useful.
he's doing.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
all
He
right.
needs to feel useful.
The Dow gives. I'm gonna. So we'll go back to. Oh no, wait. So we broke down the first part. We're gonna go back.
Yeah.
Yeah, and break this one down
Okay.
right now.
Oh, okay, yes.
Yes, let's do that.
All right. So the Tao gives life. This is Dwight Goddard's version, Day as a nurse. Tao gives life to all creatures. Day feeds them. Materiality shapes them. Energy completes them. You complete me. I'm just kidding. Um, Therefore, among all things, there is none that does not honor Tao and esteem Day. Honor for Tao and esteem for Day is never compelled. It is always spontaneous. This is like, of course, it's, you know, people are going to be like, no. But yeah, it's saying that everyone, all things honor the Tao and esteem the day. It's like paradoxical. And you're like, what about the evil people that are trying to run this world? It's like them too.
That's the exoteric view. Thank you again, Alan Watts, because we've talked about things where there's like you can look at it from a spiritual viewpoint or a physical viewpoint, but you can also use the words exoteric and esoteric. So yeah, in the exoteric sense, it is fucking terrible that all these I can't say it without getting kicked off YouTube. We're bombing all
Miscreants.
these
Just words
poor
came to my head.
olive farmers, in that part near the Mediterranean. Yeah, that's terrible that that's going on. But then on the esoteric level, it's like we're all here. Everything is perfect. It's a dance being played, and we're all immortal or eternal. And then, if that's not true, and somehow we die and it is just physical and nothing happens, this
Like the
belief system
Bhagavad
that we're
Gita
talking
says.
about still kind of it still makes you, I believe, it still allows you to live your best life. I'll just say it that way, because you're not feeling like a victim. You're going along and you're not taking on everyone else's baggage. And because really, like we always say, your attention is the most important currency. And if you're giving your attention to that disaster in that way, and you're letting it feel, and you're letting it make you feel some type of way about it, then it's taking away from your own energy.
Yeah, this scripture in the Tao reminds me of a Bible scripture that talks about how the rain falls on the good and the evil, right? It says Tao gives life to all creatures and day feeds them. Materiality shapes them, energy completes them. Um, Therefore, among all things, there is none that does not honor Tao and esteem day. Anyway, the Tao giving life to all creatures and the day feeding them, that's like, to me, it's like also the scripture where Jesus says, is it Jesus? He talks about the birds. Yeah, the birds of the air and the flowers in the field. Like they don't toil, they don't spin, they don't have to make clothing for themselves. I clothe them and I feed them. Um, because there's nothing to do, right?
Yes, and it reminds me really quickly of another thing
And
that
and so just real quick, but please remember what you said. So it reminds me of the law of one, where it says the people who don't recognize that they're being sustained by the creator, right? They're just in a sense, they're just insane. They're not in a state of sanity because they don't believe it. They don't recognize it as truth. So all you can do is really have compassion for them. They're like a spiritual child, you know? They're like a little, 1-year-old that needs care and like it doesn't really know what to do. It's just relying on you as a parent to care for it. So that's one way to view people like that as spiritual babies. Like they don't, they're going to be uh little narcissists at the very beginning because that's all they can be. There's nothing else, right? They need all your attention. They need all your care because they can't do that on their own. Like other mammals and other animals, that have that intuition. We 3D people aren't like that. Third density people are not that. We were placed here to learn and grow from these situations. So
and
just
it's
imagine them as crying babies, that don't know any better.
and it makes sense that because the way, like you said, we're dependent on our parents, or we're dependent on some kind of, when we're babies, we're dependent on older men and women, and because of that dependence, I think that's how we develop our trauma. Because if we were just like
Like the
made to
birds
be
or
spit out and just figure it out on our own, we wouldn't have abandonment issues. Like I don't think, like a shark has an abandonment issue.
no, right?
It's just given live birth and then they
Birds that are
go,
kicked out of
right?
the nest so they can fly, they don't have
Yes.
abandonment issues.
So that
They just
must
learn
mean
how to
our
fly.
level, yeah, and that must mean our level of consciousness requires this for the work we're here. Like that's all part of, if
Part
that's
of the
part of the
plan.
process and part of the plan, you could look back then to make guesses and making a hypothesis or whatever of what this realm is all about. And so everybody says, yeah, we're in this realm and we get all this trauma from our family, and then we go, and then that shapes our life, and then
But
we
that's
deal
what's
with it
meant to
from there.
happen.
Right. And yeah, exactly. And if you look at it backwards, it's like, well, if everybody experiences this, and they'll say like you can get abandonment issues from stuff that's not even that really severe when you're very young. And so if that's the way it's kind of set up, right, and meant to be, at least in this time in the Kali Yuga or whatever, in the Dark Age, maybe
Mm-hmm.
that's why it's so hard. That's why it is such a challenge, and that's what we are here to do. If we are all put through that, then it seems to me it's just like breathing. We all have to breathe. Seeing we have to drink water, maybe eat. I don't know. Um, but if that's the case, then maybe it's a clue to the work we have to do while we're here. And everybody says how, not everybody, there are a certain group of people who will tell you that this place is like a loosh farm. We're here so they could suck our energy. It's
Oh,
a jail. We're trapped. And
the demiurge, it's all evil. We're trapped. It's a kind of a cop out, I think.
yeah, and they'll
It's
say
victim
they'll,
consciousness.
yes, and they will say, why is it so hard? Then that's their evidence. They'll point to it and they're like, this isn't natural. This isn't a natural place. Like things have to eat things and all this stuff. And I'm like, well, maybe this is just the realm turned up to expert level. Like we're playing, I've said this before, we're playing Halo, like you just play Halo, but on legendary mode, which is like the hardest mode to play it. The game, not like when you're playing other people, but when you play the game itself, you put it on legendary and then it's like they kill you with one shot. So you got to be really good. So that's kind of, I feel like that's what this realm is, or maybe even more extreme parts of this realm that everybody, we just talked about war torn areas and stuff like that. Maybe those areas are even the more expert levels where you learn lessons even faster.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it's
So
not to say that, because I wasn't born in a war torn area, doesn't mean that I wasn't born in a war torn area how many lives ago, because I don't know that, right?
yeah, and our country is a country that's at war. So we technically we are because of all our
In a
tax
certain
dollars
way.
and a lot of people that we know because everywhere basically in the United States there's some kind of plant that belongs to the military industrial complex, right? There's like whenever where I live there's a helicopter factory. So there's all these people that work there too, so that's also how it affects your life. There's just other ways that we have to deal with that karma, right? So we don't have the karma of the people who are being attacked right now anyway, and at war, but we have the karma of belonging to the nation that is the
That
top dog
goes
right now.
out
And
there. Yeah.
yeah, so we kind of have empire karma. We're part of the empire here. So now that once you establish that, you can start where you can only begin where you are. You can start where you are. So you just take it
Ba
like
ba
that,
ba
right?
ba 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 ba
Exactly.
ba ba ba
Yeah.
ba ba ba
Or more like boom, 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 boom,
bum bum
boom,
ba-dum,
boom,
bum ba-dum.
boom,
That's the
boom,
one I was trying to think of.
yeah. All right, let's get back to this
But
Dow.
back to just quickly, you said
Oh yeah,
about food and about eating.
yeah.
And I just want to say, because I don't want, there's people out there that I don't want people to feel like, oh my God, am I supposed to like be a breatharian someday? And
Yes,
what
no.
I would say to that is just do you. Like if you, enjoy food, it is good, it is tasty. The main thing is about balance, about learning, like with food, like what is the limit. And like if you feel like you're overeating because you're using it as an escapism or it's an indulgent behavior, then notice that. Notice it, right? Notice the pattern. Um, I have seen that there are people in this world who get to a place where they don't eat or don't eat a lot. Um, but they're few and far between. They're like gurus and they're the people that become saints and in different religious traditions, right? Because they've reached a place of um, a state of kind of enlightenment where they really just sustain themselves on very very little, if anything at all. Now again, these are people that we've heard of. It's not necessarily like I know somebody in person who doesn't eat at all or who eats very little, but yeah, I would say just go with the flow, go with what is going on in your life right now. And yeah, eating and social behavior like that is nice, enjoying and feasting and things like that. Um, if it's meant in your life to someday be a breatharian or someday be someone who eats, very, very small meals a day or whatever, then God will bring that to you. Like, don't worry about it.
Mhm.
It will happen to you. These things happen to people. It's not like, one day they're just like, I am gonna become a breatharian. And you know what I mean? Like I don't think it's like that.
That's all exoteric stuff. When you try to use your ego
Mhm,
and your desire system to
mhm.
specifically manifest a
Specifically.
power or a city or anything like that.
Yes, exactly.
And what I would say is just be grateful for the food, right? Just be grateful you
Hmm.
have food. Thank yourself. Thank God. Be like, this is
Yeah.
amazing food. Eat it. And I try to do that too because sometimes I'll go out somewhere and there aren't the best options, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna eat something. Or I'm
Yeah.
at a wedding and they just hand me this plate of food, and I'm like, you know what? thank you, God. This is just food that was handed to me.
Yeah.
You know, if I didn't go grow it, kill it, and eat it and prepare it myself, that means that it was a miracle. It spontaneously, ooh, the universe
Appeared in front of you.
aligned for me to get this plate of food. All these things came together for it to magically, even if I had to pay for it, So why not just be grateful and thankful for that? That's a good starting spot, because diet is another area where we beat ourselves up
Mm,
constantly.
hmm.
We take the flail.
Yeah.
Look up the show. Anybody, look up clips from the show Carnival. It was a HBO show from like the early 2000s, and there's this evil guy. He's a preacher, and he has a whip, and at night he whips himself.
Oh my
He
God.
flails him. Say it's like a cat of nine
That's,
tails or whatever,
oh my God.
and that's what we are doing to
That's
ourselves
horrible. That's like
mentally. Oh,
old Catholic
yeah,
like penance, right?
yeah.
Oh,
And he ends up being, spoiler alert. Actually, it's a good series. So they have
he ends
tarot.
up being a cult leader.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'll just let it go there.
How
Yeah,
did I know?
his eyes might turn all black at a few times. So if that gives you
Oh
a clue
my
of what he's doing, he's
God.
like, boom, they're all black. You're like, okay, this guy is, yeah, good show though, good show. So yeah, diet. Don't beat yourself up. That's all we're trying to say. You're doing your best. Enjoy it. If
Yes.
you're gonna eat that Twinkie, fucking enjoy it. Just eat
Yeah.
it. Don't worry about
Be
all this shit.
thankful, be grateful for it.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. So where were we? Honor the Taoist team. Oh, so I
Yeah.
like this,
And yeah, go
the
ahead.
spontaneous part, right?
Yes, I was gonna say that. I like that too.
I like that. That's exactly what we just said. The exoteric is thinking you can compel things. It's like thinking you go out into the world of effects. It's already happening. The highway, it's
Yeah.
the analogy of the highway and the cars going by. And if somebody told you, I'll give you $1 million if you could stop all the cars in the highway, but you can only use yourself, right? And you have a week to do it. Most people would try to like run out. It's like, say it's a specific day. Like in 1 week from today, I want you to stop all the cars from going on the highway, but they have to remain. It has to remain flowing, so it's not like you could build up something, right? So you can run out there and try to stop them all, or you could just take that whole week and run around and grab everyone's keys. I mean, I know it's a ridiculous scenario, but that's what you would be doing, right? That's if you had like the Superman powers, if you will. So when you're in the world of effects, you're literally running out into traffic trying to stop things and get it done. You're just going to get run over and you're going to beat yourself up. But if you can figure out a way to go around and grab everyone's car keys, and that's the esoteric, right? That's the internal world. That's where the true changes I feel can be made. And it starts by just taking it easy on yourself. All right.
Yeah. And I was also going to say that it reminds me of like the 6 days of creation or whatever the days of creation in at the beginning of the Bible, where it says, and God made it and it was good. So what does that mean? Like it's like you are glorifying God just by being, because you are here. You are spontaneously already glorifying God just by your presence and existence. And
And,
everyone is everyone.
and I'm glad you brought up Genesis, because it reminds me of what I was going to say before, and then I forgot. But another thing that Alan Watts said was the story of the tree of
Good
knowledge.
and evil. Yeah.
He
Knowledge of good
says
and evil.
it's translated to us as good and evil, but he said the translation, who knows if it's true or not. This is obviously his worldview and what he's heard, but he said it translates more to something like the feeling of a feeling of not liking some, or preferring something and not preferring something, because he's saying
Oh.
before that, just like an animal, things happen and then they just adjust and react to it. Like if you kick a dog, he's not going to feel sorry for himself. He's going to turn around and say, where's the threat? And then deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the whole thing. Because now we have this amazing thought process, and we can use it in a negative way and just to get lost in our past or worry about the future, because we're worried that something in the past or something in the future is going to be something we don't prefer, or it was something went away that we didn't prefer. So he was saying it's all about preference. So that's why if you can kind of learn to see that the world is perfect and everything needs to happen, then the preference isn't set in that little I, your ego, your exoteric being, if you will. It's more of the esoteric, and you start to sit back and realize that what, everything happens for a reason, and you don't have to, but you can start being grateful for it. And it feels different when something that previously you might not have preferred to happen, if it happens, like if you get a flat tire or, whatever happens. So,
Yeah.
all right. I like that though, with the whole 6 days of creation. And it was good. God created men and women or whatever, and it was
Yeah.
good.
And it was good. Oh no, we're going to
Yep.
the next
Boop.
slide. There we
You are so we must have like this intuitional connection. It's Elizabeth and I have it too, because every time I realize that she says it too, it's so funny. It's like we both had the thought. Like the thought popped up that I was doing it wrong, and you picked up on it, or I picked up on your thought that I was doing it wrong. Alrighty, part one. All physical things arise from the principle which is absolute. The principle which is the natural way. All living things are formed by being. Okay, so the first part, uh it's like talking about the physical things and how they're kind of fake. They're not real because they arise from a principle that's absolute, and physical things are not absolute. Physical things
go.
wither away and die, and that's the natural way. And then I like this part: all living things are formed by being and shaped by their environment. So you are formed, dear Over Sharon fan, listener, viewer. You're formed by what you do. You're formed by your being and shaped. What did it say? Shaped by
By
your
your environment.
environment. And what did I just say? What did we just say about the whole highway scenario? Your thoughts. That's why, like, when I was in Catholic school, they used to tell you, keep your thoughts pure. And if you have impure thoughts, it's bad. Well, that's the exoteric view, but I'm going to tell you the esoteric view that I found that works for me. It's not that it's bad to have evil or negative thoughts, but it just leads you to more evil and negative thoughts, or just
It's a
suffering.
spiral downward.
Yeah. And when you can learn to let go of those and you dig down, there's a way to dig deep and to get that feeling of what it is. Then you can let go of that.
Yeah.
Perhaps. Okay. Anything you wanted to say?
No, not right now.
It did it to me again. Okay. So I'm going to pick up here by growing, yep, and shaped by their environment, growing if nourished well by virtue. The being from non-being. So you're going in, let's see, and shaped by their environment, growing if nourished well by virtue, the being from non-being. So again, it opens up, it's like in the beginning, all physical things arise from the principle, which is absolute. So physical things rising. So you are shaped and nourished and growing well, uh the being, that self, and it's coming from non-being, like it's coming out of the ether or the spiritual, or however you want to say, or internally,
Yeah.
with virtue. All natural things respect the Tao, giving honor to its virtue, although the Tao does not expect nor look for honor or respect. So the Tao is just going along, doing its job, and it doesn't need that external validation. It already knows.
Yeah. That's the that's the creator, the create whatever you want to call it, the divine source within.
The Tao never says oops. It's a title to it's a good book title. There you
Your
go.
next album.
The Tao never says oops. Yeah, my next album. I'm gonna do covers of Red Hot Chili Peppers. I like pleasures packed with pain. And I'll have commentary after the song. This song was inspired by the Tao. You
Yeah. All natural things respect the Tao, giving honor to its virtue. Yeah. Yeah, I don't have really anything to say about that.
All right, let's go to old AC. How you doing? Good old AC and hanging out in
Good
AC.
old AC. And he entitles this verse The Day as the Nurse. Ow, that's really cute. I meant to say, oh, that's really cute. All things proceed from the Tao and are sustained by its forth flowing virtue. Everyone taketh form according to his nature, and is perfect each in his particular way. Therefore, each and every one of them glorify the Tao and worship its forth flowing virtue. This glorifying of the Tao, this worship of the day, is constantly spontaneous and not by appointment of law. I like that very end, not by
Yes.
appointment of law, because, you know, you have all these religious traditions, especially um, the one from which
Ten
allegedly
Commandments.
Christianity sprung from, allegedly. And they have these laws written down. Some of them have to follow 613 or something like that, allegedly. And in some of them, there's only 10. Um,
Are you over there eating bacon, Sharon? Are you eating bacon? I'm coming
I
to get
love
you.
bacon.
No. Are you eating shellfish? You're going to hell.
Oh yeah, I ate shrimp last night.
So yeah, so when that I read that, or when you read that the first time, that just hit me like a bullseye, like bang, when it said that about the law, because it's going back to the whole highway analogy thing. The laws are like putting up speed limit signs, right? But you're the society knows that the speed limit basically realizes like that's the minimum. If you don't at least go the speed limit, you're going to get like beeped at and run off the road. And you're going to try to stay within 10 miles. It depends on your region. Sometimes you can
Yeah,
stay within 10 miles or whatever,
above,
but,
yeah.
raising people in a way where they wouldn't even want to go too fast, that would be more of the spontaneous way. I guess it's kind of, you know, the analogy for that scenario. But yeah, that law thing,
What
because
about like the the autobahn?
that would
Right?
probably
There's
be the
no,
best
yeah,
scenario.
there's no like limit. You just everybody kind of just goes with the flow. And if and anybody on the leftmost lane better be going faster than the one to the right,
This is
right?
I
Let
was just talking about
people
this.
go, let people pass. You know what I mean? Go ahead.
And people that well, I guess it's like that in parts of the United States too. There's roads that don't have speed limits, like out in Wisconsin or wherever. But
Mm,
in Europe, though, well, in Italy anyway, because I did a lot of driving in Italy when I was in the Marine Corps and I was stationed there. People drive in a much different manner. You can drive down a normal road, a 2-lane road, and if you want to pass somebody, you just put your blinker on it, and they'll move. There's enough room in the road where they move over a little bit,
switch
and then
over.
the oncoming traffic moves out of your way too. Like they just are like, all right, cool, you got somewhere to be. Here it's all about like, no, I want to be first. It's me. I gotta, it's like people have
Yeah.
something to prove, and I get it because I used to be like that. Sometimes maybe am, but I think that's why we don't have. That's why we need speed limits here, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's not
But
because
but
people go fast. It's because they don't know how to. Like you'd have people in that fast lane going like 55. When someone's trying to go
but
like 155.
was it the chicken or the egg? Was it the law that was placed that made people that way? Or was like in Italy, they didn't have it, so they had to learn to do things without a quote law. They had to be polite to each other to let each other know it's okay,
Well, they still have
right?
speed limits there in Italy because the
Oh, do
autobahn
they?
is in Germany. Yeah, they have
Oh,
the
okay.
autostrada in Italy, which is like the highway, but that has speed limits, but they're not really strict like they are here. Oh, I don't know now. This is the 90s, so who knows? But anyway,
Yeah,
what are you gonna do?
but yeah, yeah, yeah. I was gonna say something else. Now I can't remember. But the law,
The
the
law.
laws.
All right. Speaking of law, I'm going to bring this one back up. We'll hit part two now. The second section of verse 51 by Stephen Mitchell. The Tao gives birth to all beings, nourishes them, maintains them, cares for them, comforts them, protects them, takes them back to itself. So that reminds me of the Bible verse you're talking about, right? Where
Mm-hmm.
God clothes, the birds don't have to look for clothes. He takes care of all that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Creating without possessing. or and then also takes them back to itself. I like that because when you die, instead of a death, you're just getting taken back into the Tao. You can look at it that way, or you can even say takes them back to itself, as in it's constantly the Tao's constantly taking you back to itself because, like we were saying, this whole verse, you're everything is in the Tao, the good, the evil, all that stuff. So everything you're doing, you're getting taken back to the Tao. Creating without
Mm,
possessing, acting without expecting, guiding without interfering.
mm.
So that a
I
lot
love
it
that.
reminds me of attachment, right? No
Oh, yeah.
micromanagement.
Yeah.
That is why love of the Tao is in the very nature of things.
Also reminds me of like controlling, like having this desire to control the situation or another person's actions. Um, the guiding without interfering. Like that would be a great way to raise a child, right? To guide, but kind of just let them be their person without interfering with their personality. Yeah, I mean, I don't have children, so I mean, I have nephews and nieces, but I didn't raise any myself. So I can't say that I know. But I would think that doing your best to guide without that interference would be a good way because you're just letting them be who they are, as long as they're obviously not hurting someone, right? If they're trying to bang their brother's, head
Yeah.
with a bat or a hammer or something, yeah, of course, no.
Yes, yes. That's
But
guiding, though. That would be guiding and not interfering, right? Interfering would be like micromanaging. And I think it comes from attachment, really. The fear.
mhm, yeah,
You're attached because you're afraid it's going to go away, and it's a physical thing. It is going to go away someday, and
yeah,
here we are. We're still okay. All the things we've ever lost in our life, we're still okay.
yeah,
We're perfect still. It's exactly how it should have happened. It's like a poetic dance, if you will. All right,
absolutely.
I'm gonna bring this up now.
That is why love of the Tao is the very nature of things.
Here's that word love again. This is more of that love, I think, of the agape, I think it is, right? It's the even if you hate something, you're still loving it because you're attached to it, you're part of it, and you're giving it your attention, obviously, if you hate it. So you have a love for the Tao because you are the Tao, you're attached to it. Even if you hate yourself, you still technically have this agape like love for yourself. That's why there is suffering because you do love yourself. And a part of you is telling you, what the fuck is going on? Clean up this behavior. You're killing us, right? That's the part that still loves you. And that's where the suffering comes from. But, uh, you know, so just
Yeah.
know that you're all loved, even if you don't feel it. We love you. Sharon and I love you, whoever you are, even if we blocked and banned you, like that guy I had to ban. Now it'd be a couple weeks ago who was trying to proselytize the word of God is the only word in the Bible. That was funny.
Yeah, but it sounded like he kind of sounded like a bot or
Oh yeah, it was totally about. This is what I came.
like a scammer, you know what I
I thought
mean?
of this yesterday. He at first he asked, he's like, "Can you send mushrooms to Morocco?" Because we were talking about like psychedelics, and I was like, "No." So I think what happens is there's bot farms everywhere,
Yeah.
and these guys are just. So he's probably in there, and he's like, "Wait a minute, before I start doing my thing, let me see if I could get mushrooms." Like, if we said yes, maybe he wouldn't have started botting out on us.
Oh my
Not that I
God.
ever would or could do that. YouTube, I don't have access to that stuff. It's just jokes, everybody. I'm a comedian, but yeah. Anywho,
Yeah, people try.
it's okay.
And
I
if we
find
call
it's
them
better. It's fine.
bots, it's not that they're like a actual
Yeah, it doesn't mean it's like
AI
a computer AI. It could be a person on a working on a
on
bot
a,
farm. So we still have
yeah,
love for them. I just had to kick him out because he's getting paid to do what he has to do. So he still got
yeah,
paid. Whatever. Hopefully he had a
yeah.
great day. Hopefully he had a good day at work and he found mushrooms. Maybe somebody else bumped into him on the road and he's like, oh, or maybe he was walking home and stepped in some shit. And then he's like, oh, this is cow shit. Wait, there's a mushroom.
Camel poop. We're just kidding.
Yeah. How
Was
dare
he from Morocco? It was
you?
some Middle Eastern country. I don't remember
Yeah, I
where.
don't know if it was Morocco, either Northern Africa or Middle East. I can't.
Yeah, I can't remember where he said he was from. But I was like, not a good question to ask.
I didn't know if I did that way of kicking him out. I didn't know it was going to delete all his things. I don't mind if they stay there,
Yeah,
especially.
I didn't understand what happened either. I thought you were just like blocking that one message he sent, but somehow it like deleted everything he
Well,
sent. I
that's
was
what I
like, oh,
did first, and then I was going to kick him out, and it said remove him from your channel. That's the one I so
oh, okay.
yeah.
Okay. So that's fine.
So I removed everything I ever did. All
I
right,
mean, it doesn't mean he can't listen. He just can't really say anything, which is fine.
he can get another account and
All
come back
right.
and apologize if he wants. We all
Mhm.
know that spiel, right? You can make another account and come back.
Yeah.
So I mean, hey, it's a good system. All
Oh
right,
my
just don't get too
God.
attached. Therefore, Dow. Oh no,
Oh,
sorry.
oh,
That's
that's okay. Dwight Goddard, verse 51, the second half. Therefore, Tao gives life to them, but Day nurses them, raises them, nurtures, completes, matures. Can you move your little
oh, I'm sorry.
thing? Sorry. I was like, wait, what word is that? Completes, matures, rears, protects them. See, like a parent, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tao gives life to them, but makes no claim of ownership. Wow.
Yeah,
Day forms them, but makes no claim upon them, praises them, but does not rule them. This is profound vitality. So, yeah, like a parent, can guide you, like we were saying from the other verse. Um, a parent will raise you, nurture. It says complete, but, mature, rear, protect you, right?
mm-hmm.
Um, and, it says Tao gives life to them. So, like, you could say, yeah, your parents gave life to you, right? But like, do your parents go around going, that's my property to you? Like, I know some people do. But
No, I hear what you're saying.
you know what I mean? The Tao doesn't do that.
Yes, exactly. It doesn't have that attachment,
Yeah.
and
It just lets you be you,
yeah, I feel
right?
like parents they have this idea of who you're supposed to be, and then when you don't live up to that, sometimes some parents they feel like they failed. So
Disown you, they take you out of their will, whatever,
yeah.
because they're like, you're not my son anymore.
Or they try to help you when you don't ask. They give unsolicited
Oh,
advice. That's a lot of
yes. Mhm.
unsolicited advice, and
That
yeah,
too.
my parents are pretty cool though. They get it now, but again, I've been in this realm for 48 years. I've been in this
Almost.
realm for
Wait.
what you call no, I wasn't going to say almost. I was going to say what you call 48 standard Earth years
Ooh.
in a month in 6 days. So they're they're kind of over it, but I do see it in people's lives. So yeah, and that's why I think it just comes from attachment. Again, I'll say it again, and it's fearing. It comes from fear, which is all you can all boil it down
Yes.
to attachment, fear, anger, a
Yes,
lot of
fear.
these negative emotions.
Mhm.
I was listening to something. Shout out to Joe. He was on he's been on our show a bunch, Joe P. But he has a channel, Contemplations of Spirit, on Telegram, and I was listening to one of the audios he put in there, and there was a guy talking about letting go. It was a 28-minute audio. I think it's the second one in the channel, and he was saying how there's ways to let go of one thing at a time, but you could dig deeper and then get to, like, oh, I'm afraid to do public speaking. Why? Well, because I'm afraid people won't like it. Why? Why are you afraid people? Well, they won't like it. And when you keep going back, it gets down to I'm afraid I'm going to be alone because people aren't going to like me. And then it's like if someone's single, I'm afraid to approach women. Why? Because I'm afraid I'm going to be rejected. Then you keep going back, and I'm afraid I'm going to be alone.
What's
Right? It gets to that root, and then you find the feeling that causes that, and that's what you work on letting go. So this way, you cut out all the little heads, right?
in
And you get to
between?
the source. You know,
Yeah.
it's like
The
what's
root,
the creature or the hydrofoil or something when you cut off its head, another one
the
appears.
hydra.
The
Yeah.
Hydra. Yeah, Hydra.
I
Exactly.
don't know.
So,
Is it a hydra?
yeah, Hydra. Hail Hydra. Hail Hydra. So, in this way, you're going for the heart. You're not trying to cut off the head of the beast that's just going to grow back. You get to the heart of the matter. All right.
Yes. The root, the heart.
There you go.
And does not rule them. Yep. Totally. Because that's control, right?
Yeah, this is profound vitality. Very pretty
Mhm.
profound. All right. I'm going to read the second part of Stan Rosenthal's verse 51. The virtue of the natural way is that all things are born of it. It nourishes and comforts them, develops, shelters, and cares for them, protecting them from harm. And then, but people say, yeah, but people get harmed all the time.
Yeah.
But then you can also say, what caused them to be harmed though? Was it their own actions because of all this negative thought process that they had, and it led them to this whatever disaster that happened? Maybe it's possible. So if you
But
let go,
what truly is harm if we just go back to source and the
yeah,
divine?
that's
Like the Bhagavad Gita says, no one can be killed.
yeah, that's the esoteric view. You're 100% right. And more of the exoteric view too on it would be that
Everything's for your good.
yeah, yeah, well that's still more like kind of esoteric.
Okay, sorry, keep going.
No, it's I'm trying to oh, it'll come back to me. I'm not too worried about it, but it goes along with everything we repeat on the show all the time. So
Yeah.
um yeah, but
You
you're
didn't, did you
you're exactly
read
right.
that last bit, huh?
I'm gonna bring that up. I'm just trying to, let's see, nurses harm to protect them. The Tao creates, not claiming credit, and guides without interfering.
Wow.
So
Same thing the other guy said, right?
yeah, exactly. I think what I was saying, and I'll just say this and we'll go back to Aleister Crowley, but it was basically like if you're living in alignment with the Tao, if you don't have, so the fears come from attachments. So if you can let go of the fear, the attachments, which let goes of the fear and the anger and all that stuff, it won't guide you to these situations where you're harming yourself and self-harm and all this stuff, or being harmed by the world. It's going to
Mm,
keep you safe in that way. So ironically, people don't trust the plan, and they get worried and scared, and then they go out and do different things, and that's what brings them harm. Or if they just kind of
mm,
sat back and trusted the plan,
right.
then like you said, then if harm does come, and it's, I mean, I guess either way, if it comes, it's meant for,
Jesus, take the wheel.
yeah, Jesus, take the wheel. I guess if harm does come, you
Just
you begin to look at it in a way of growth, and you can say, how can I grow from this harm? Was this really harm? Did I become a better person after it? What doesn't kill you makes you stronger,
exactly.
kind of thing. So yeah.
Yeah. And we grow from, you know, adversity, right? Like encountering
Challenges,
difficulties and challenges. Yeah. But
resistance.
it should be more like Christ, Jesus Christ, take the wheel. Christ consciousness,
Yeah,
take the wheel.
Jesus Christ, take my wheel. Jesus is in the back seat like me. No, man. I meant Christ, Jesus Christ. Thus the Tao. Oh yeah,
Oh,
I keep
oh,
wanting.
you
I
keep
just don't want to
wanting.
read the butteth part. But
Thus the Tao buddeth them out. Oh, sorry. I said I was going to read them like normal words. Thus the Tao buds them out, nurtures them, develops them, sustains them, perfects them, ripens them, upholds them, and reabsorbs them. I like that.
oh,
Reabsorbs.
Yeah, it
Like,
reminds
because
me
they all
bringing
go
it back.
back to God.
Yeah,
Good.
like in the right up here where it says takes them
Takes
back
it
to
back
itself.
to itself. Yes, I missed that part. Yes, absolutely. Reabsorbs them. Yeah, because like the Bhagavad Gita says, no, you can't kill people. They just go back to source, you know? I'm not quoting it, by the way. Um, it buds them forth and claims not lordship over them. It is overseer of their changes and boasts not of his puissance. And we said that word means power, perfects them and interferes not with their ways. Capital W ways. Why?
Mm,
Because everything we do is part of part of God, part of the divine,
could it
you know?
be?
Yeah. This is called the mystery of its virtue.
There's that word again.
Mystery.
Mystery. So what does that mean? That means that no matter how much Sharon and I talk about the Tao, we're never going to know exactly what they mean, but that's okay. We're okay with having a mystery. We're accepting the mystery as a mystery, and we're making that accepting of the mystery kind of like a part of our reality. It's like, all right, that's a mystery. That means that I don't have to argue about it. I don't have to prove my point. I just feel it.
Yeah.
And I could be wrong because it's a mystery. It's another important thing to remember. Whenever you have something that's a mystery, you might be wrong with the way you're interpreting it, but the true interpretation comes when you realize you're perfect again, and then you start to see the world in a different way, and then you interpret it. All right. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, I kind of have things. All right, everybody. Um, I have some laundry to do, so we're gonna wrap this up in a little bit. I was just letting Sharon know. So anyway, I really like this verse. It feels like it's kind of a recap on everything that we've been learning so far, and it's just bringing it back and showing you a different way of all this stuff, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Every verse is kind of seems to like say things in a different way, but it's pretty much saying the same thing all the time.
Yeah, I mean it really is, and it's like that saying, the way is simple, but for complicated minds, there's methods, like
Yeah, for complicated minds, there's lots of text to read.
yeah, yeah, different
There's many
paths.
ways of saying it.
Yeah, exactly. Many ways of saying the way. Well, thank you guys for hanging out till the end of this shorter episode. It probably was just
An
under an
hour
hour and a
and
half, right?
yeah, like an hour and 10 maybe,
Oh yeah. All right. Awesome. Well, it is a
an
little
hour and
shorter, but
15.
Sharon and I in this month of August and into September, we're doing traveling separately and stuff. So we are pre-recording a lot of these. So hope you guys enjoy them, and we will be in the chat hanging out with you guys as long as we have service wherever we are.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. I'm just excited because I feel like all this stuff we've been talking about lately is leading to some really big, uh, like putting,
Growth.
yeah, well, it's definitely leading to growth, but it's also leading to a lot of putting puzzle pieces together for me at least, and big picture stuff coming together. So I'm just excited to see after this trip that we both take and come back. I'm just excited to see where the show goes from there. So
Yeah.
stay tuned, everybody. There's big things in the works. We already have ideas. We plan on doing another episode with Joe and Spoons and talking about letting go and stuff. So that's fun. Hopefully we can connect with some people we haven't talked to in a while now that once the summer winds up and people get back into their more daily
usual.
routines, I guess you could say, right?
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of routines, go to morelawsmoreproblems.com. Click on that Over Sharon tab. There's plenty of ways to support us there financially, but if you'd like to know the best way to support us, it's just by being here, hanging out with us, comment in the chat, subscribe, like, share. Check us out on BitChute. If you're on BitChute, leave comments, thumbs up, all that fun stuff. Um, and yeah, I don't know. What do we say to the good people, Sharon?
That once you start over Sharon,
Then you totally stop being a Karen.
that's right.
And remember, everybody, we never tell you how to live your life.
Well, we're just telling you a little bit about the Tao so you can learn about the middle path. Is that
Right.
the middle path stuff or is that Buddhism? Or I don't know.
No, Tao is definitely balanced middle path stuff. Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah. So
something like that.
that's right. And so maybe you can have a little less suffering in your life. Who knows?
Maybe.
All right, guys. Until next week, have a great weekend and we'll see you later. Ciao.
Bye.